Climate change is pushing the planet towards dangerous tipping points that could irreversibly change how we live on Earth. That's the warning from 200 global experts published in a major new report. It warns that if certain thresholds are crossed, the consequences could be catastrophic, posing threats of a magnitude never before faced by humanity. Major ecosystems are already at risk of passing tipping points, including the Greenland and West Antarctic ice sheets, warm water coral reefs and permafrost regions in the Arctic. The report warns that if this happens, crises will likely multiply in a similar way to the COVID-19 pandemic, threatening the breakdown of economic, social and political systems. Experts say that these dire predictions only underscore the need for an urgent global green transition. Achim Steiner, who heads the UN's development programme, told me about the role that global financial structures can play in that.
The consensus about what needs to be done and that we have to do this together is growing ever stronger. But in the real economy of our world, there is a great deal of geopolitics, and there is also the big problem that our financial systems are not really yet aligned with the level of investment that is needed. So here in Dubai, you have a global stocktake that is being presented by the Climate Secretariat. And it basically tells us that we are not on course. But Lord Nicholas Stern put it very simply. Are you surprised that we're not achieving the intended outcomes? Well, the reason is we're not investing enough. And this is really going to be probably the most crucial question here and in the coming years, how to get the kind of financing, public and private, aligned with the goals that we have set ourselves.
So how can, do you think, more money be mobilized to tackle these issues?
The International Monetary Fund estimates that last year the world spent in total terms over 7 trillion, and I repeat trillion with a T, dollars in fossil fuel subsidies. That is, we are making artificially cheaper the extraction and consumption and use of fossil fuels at an extraordinary cost to national economies and to taxpayers. So tackling those subsidies would be a simple way of actually freeing up resources that could help particularly least developed countries, poorer countries, to invest more rapidly in the green energy transition. And that is just one example. A second example has to do with taxes and putting a price on carbon. Most economists today agree that the most efficient way in which we could accelerate transitions is to put a price on carbon. But who wants to pay more taxes? So finding a way in which we raise, if you want, the cost of carbon on using fossil fuels, but then reimburse citizens so they're not ending up paying more taxes. We are simply changing the price signals in our marketplace.
So how do you see China's role in supporting that green energy transition?
Well, at the moment, I think we are falling far behind, not because we are not increasing the momentum. Actually, the last few years have seen from China, India, Europe, the United States, literally committing hundreds of billions of dollars, in fact trillions, towards the green transition. So the larger economies, the G20 economies, are actually able to mobilize the kind of investments that are enabling them to decarbonize energy systems and transport infrastructure right now. The challenge is, however, for poorer countries, some of you cannot even afford to invest in their health and education sector because they have to pay interest rates that are extremely high on their loans, international borrowings that they have made, will not be able to invest in a more rapid transition towards green energy. And yet, when you look to a continent like Africa, it is so ready and it is so prepared to move into a greener energy future because it needs electricity, it needs energy to power its industrialization and development. This is where international cooperation, international co-financing becomes absolutely fundamental. And back to Lord Nicholas Stern, if we invest in it, we can actually accelerate the transition very quickly.